ever feel like you're constantly busy, but nothing ever really gets settled or done? Like you're answering emails, moving projects forward, sitting in meetings, and by the end of the week, you just feel like you're still carrying some of those decisions around. I see this a lot with creative CEOs. There are things that technically got done, but they didn't get decided. What do I mean by that? So they keep circling back on your calendar, in your head, and in conversations that you thought were already done. And that's where your time starts to leak in these open loops. So today I want to walk you through 3 decisions that actually belong to you as a CEO. Decisions you need to make and own to stop these open loops and unlock your capacity. When I work with a creative CEO who feels stressed and stretched thin, I rarely start by looking at their to-do list. By the time you've reached steady revenue, layered offers, clients who expect consistent delivery, and maybe even contractors or a small team, you already know how to execute. You've proven that. What I pay attention to instead are where decisions are still sitting in motion. Usually, nothing's really derailed and the business hasn't fallen into chaos, but decisions that need to be made just haven't been. And over time, it's those unanswered leadership questions that start to create what feels like a strain on your time and your energy. You can often sense that stepping back and making a call would help the business move forward. But at the same time, there's this hesitation because it can feel like pulling the wrong lever might create some consequences you really did not want. And most founders assume they need sharper productivity. But what I've seen consistently across businesses at this stage is that the complexity has increased, but the decision structure hasn't developed alongside it. So, when we're reviewing your business together, there are 3 decisions I would bring into focus first. What are we building right now? Not your long-term vision, not every single possible idea you could chase. I know we love to do that. It's about what you're actually focusing on right now. And if you are a creative CEO, you probably have a few directions that could work. And when you get stuck between them, you can feel very squeezed. And maybe that current offer works. Maybe refining it could be better. Maybe there's room to expand. All true. But if you haven't picked one direction as a priority just for 90 days, everything just feels like it's up in the air. And then it could be really chaotic. The team hesitates and you keep going back to the same questions. But once you pick a direction, your GPS is spot on and everything is easier. There's less mental fatigue and the team is aligned and you know where you are actually going. The second decision is about your role. And you built this business, you're more than capable, but it starts to feel like you aren't as the business grows, right? Because the decisions are actually bigger, they're juicier, they're carry more. And what is starting to happen is you've got these bigger decisions, but also the smaller decisions start coming at you from team members. So it's not like you can just handle the bigger decisions, but team members and partners and clients and everything else, all those start to route towards you. And it becomes this founder bottleneck and where you are the end all be all. And that isn't where you need to be. You need to be making CEO level decisions, revenue direction, offer positioning, capacity ceilings, and strategic hires. That's where your zone of genius lives, and that's where you need to be. So everything should move without your direct involvement. And that's exactly what I see in multi-offer founder-led companies is a lot of times they're getting back to that. So there is no real authority structure, and creating that is huge. So having a decision-making funnel where your team decisions, your manager decisions, and your CEO decisions all funnel through. Things shouldn't come to you at that bottom of the funnel. They should be at the top. And the third decision is to look at your capacity before growing your business. So, a lot of the founders that I work with will talk about revenue and increasing revenue, but they never really take a look at that capacity before they expand. And what happens is they don't look at that system strain. When the volume does increase, it's stage one. You've got this perfect amount of people, it feels great. But in stage two, when you decide to grow, you're actually trying to shove more clients, more offers, more extra into a system that was only built for so much. So it starts to feel really bad. And in that, you're taking a bunch of energy in growing the business that really could be part of that strategic planning. So it's a lot like Chris here and not really being able to fit inside anymore. So nothing really feels broken on the outside, but on the inside, it feels tighter. And when you're able to look at the business and the capacity before you grow, you won't have that energy consumption. When you have to repeat clarifications, conversations, things that are revisited that you thought were already resolved, when you really feel that frustration, like things coming back to you. And it's not really about your discipline. It's not about, oh, I should be doing this better or this better. It really is about putting the structures in place and making sure that you understand what decisions lie with you and where they lie with somebody else, and having the structures and give people the authority to make some decisions. What I have found working with founders is they're usually a little bit hesitant to pull a lever, and it's not because it's going to be something that just blows the business up and to smithereens, even though we might feel that way. It's really those decisions that will make the business flow. So making sure that we can actually make those decisions without getting caught in the minutia and the small decisions in the day to day. At this stage, you're no longer meant to be the most capable executor in the room. Your role is really to define focus. In the final video in this playlist, I am going to show you what actually changes when you stop running your business and you start leading it like a CEO. Because once these decisions are clear, leadership feels different, calmer, more spacious, more intentional, and I will see you there.